All right, welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Ben. It's our 65th episode, issue 16 of Grendel Volume 2, issue 1 of Devil Tracks.
Woo! Devil Tracks. And you know what? It tracks.
It tracks.
But before we get into that, old Ben, what you been up to this week?
Old Ben we were putting the finishing touches up on Arcane number 2. Arcane number 1 is out. It's getting shipped to people. People are really saying some nice things about it. It's in some shops. It's going to get in some more shops next week. I've got some errands to run, drop off copies that have been ordered.
And Comixology very soon.
Comixology, all kinds of stuff. Gumroad, you can get it in a number of different ways. The second issue is like all but wrapped up. Cover reveal here.
Oh, dang! Look at those colors. You're a good colorist, Ben.
It was already thank you. It was already colored by Mac Radowski, and I think it needed just a little punch, a pinch of salt, a pinch of salt,
spoonful of sugar.
And I did what I could, and I think it brought a little more drama to it. We've got a 2-page letter column that SJR put together. Shouts to Sam Royale, and I am chipping away at Oh Fuck Why number 2. So close to being done. I have a meeting with colorist Morgan Hickman on Saturday. He's going to get into that. I'm sure that once he starts putting those together, that'll put the battery back in my back for Oh Fuck Why.
Oh, yeah.
And you're ready to go with the Grendel zine. Exciting.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we got the go-ahead from Matt. And I'm just waiting on one more pinup from a friend who had some medical issues, but he's got it. He's got it coming in. And then we're going to go to print, hopefully this coming week. So reach out, leave that 5-star review. Send me your address to eli@cosmiclionproductions.com, or as some people actually, they've been just going to cosmiclionproductions.com and hitting up the contact form right on the website. You can do that too. Hit me up with your address, and there's only going to be 30 available in this print, so hit me up ASAP as possible.
What is it going to be? Mini comic size?
Size, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Full color. It's going to be amazing. It's like 55 pages long.
Yeah, it's like 40 something.
Awesome.
Something. Oh my God, it's going to be
very
great.
Cool. Thanks to Matt for letting us do that.
Yes, exactly. We'll put the cover up on Instagram soon so everyone can see it and get hyped. But see those 5-star reviews.
What else did you do this week? Anything good?
Just continue working on some of the other comic work I'm doing for Next Panel Press. Met with some other people. I have a graphic novel from France that I will be publishing through Cosmic Lion Productions in the next couple months.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Can you tell us anything else?
Well, you guys might know Jim Dandy from the KK group from Image Grand Design and stuff. Yeah. So he's got a really cool project that we're going to work on a little bit together. I finally read one of Ben's favorite comics.
Oh, there you go.
It was great. I loved it. I read it during work.
Oh, well, perfect. Unlike anything else, right?
Oh, so beautiful and fun. And like I said, it's
fun, but it's not
fun. Not fun. Like, yeah, it's got a sort of like a cockneyed whimsy to it or something like that, because you're kind of seeing this world through these kind of like virginal eyes as she gets thrown into this like punk rock.
Oh right, yeah. The first issue is about living rough on the streets of London.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of mental health and heavy stuff and family
really,
trauma.
sure. Yeah,
and really important book.
Yeah, and then continuing to plug away on Wizard 2. I'm probably 85-90% done. So much. It's a lot. It's just a lot of work this time, more so to try to like build it into something a little bit more than it was last time. So.
Well, it had a nice start, and now it's going to have an even bigger...
It's maturing.
Even bigger thing.
All right. I think with that, let's get a Grendel in.
Let's Grendel.
Yeah. Vivat Grendel. It's like the devil is my best friend. On the roads with the pen to the fork end, or till time end, like Orion. Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
That's a good one.
All right, we are back. And we're getting deep into issue 16 here of Grendel. It starts a thing that's also republished by Dark Horse as Grendel Devil Tracks. But we're going to focus on the Kimiko here this week.
This was a big deal because it's there's all content, no ads. What are this called? Liner.
Beautiful end papers.
End papers, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cover titles,
beautiful.
end papers, mage backup story.
Ooh. That mage backup is beautiful.
And it's got this wild cover.
Love this
beautiful
cover.
Plus mage. We got the hunter back here. This is interesting because this is Matt's return to writing and drawing the thing.
Exactly.
For the first time since Devil by the Deed. Exciting.
Yeah, and I'd be really interested to talk with him to see why he kind of like went back to Hunter Rose, why he went into the storytelling style. And as we get further into it, we're going to talk more about this amazing 25 panel grid style that he's doing.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But first up, go ahead.
We had a really funny moment today where I was reading this on my iPad, and I was doing it during the baby's nap, and so I had to finish my reading. And I was reading this. I was basically reading this. And I was like, I've been reading for an hour. Like, what the hell's going on?
Well, it's weird because
42 pages. I'm 15 pages in. What the hell's happening here?
Like this book has 50% more pages than this book, and yet they are like the same exact thickness. It's insane.
The paper's super thin.
So thin.
Anyway,
30-pound bond, 40-pound, who knows?
Do you want to sort of give us the premise of this Devil Track story? Like what's the deal here?
For sure. Well, it's these stories that Wiggins is relating, kind of like his novel. So again, we have a narrator that we're not sure if is telling the truth. However, we don't know where he got this story from yet. But he's telling this story of Hunter Rose, of all these different characters: Polk, Sandy, Bill, Rachel, Pinchon, Dylan, Richards, Taluk. So all these characters, and it's kind of like a bank intrigue, kind of like
it's like
theft, heist, uncut gems. Yeah, it's kind of this. Yeah,
and
it's
the cover
wild.
has diamonds,
pile of diamonds,
and money and blood, and in the back is Hunter
Grendel in the red glistening night.
Yeah, and you can see Matt is like angling the airbrush so that it picks up all the tooth on the paper. That's how
my god.
You gotta hold it, you gotta like spray it like Leo DiCaprio and Romeo and Juliet. Hold it on the side.
Dude, I love that.
Very, very cool.
All right, so the first page we open up on Wiggins, and here's where I was telling you, and I think I've talked about this before on the cast here. Those are
papers. The Argent. So you're getting Argent and Hunter. All right. Wiggins, you've talked about this page before.
Yeah, because the first page of Monkey Lion 4, my upcoming edition of my comic Monkey Lion, that's been in the works for about 5 years. Maybe even longer. I wish I had a date on it. Anyway, I redid this first page for my first page of that, kind of because it's like an older version of the character looking back on his time. So another reason that I kind of wanted to do this is because I liked like this technology. I liked the dichotomy of like this tech on like the beach. And I kind of just envisioned this is where my character Monkey Lion or Lion would be as well, like chilling out on the beach with these floating drinks. Well, yeah, and I turned that audio recorder into like a keyboard, rolling machine. I'll put it up on the screen right now. Y'all can see. So I tried to do faithfully, with the Zipatone, the Duo Shade, and all that stuff, and I put my word bubbles in there. So I don't know. I just always thought I always loved this issue, but actually, I'm coming to realize that I love this page so much that I was telling you before, I have like 5 or 6 copies of this issue. basically just because of this page.
Mhm.
You know, as you go on, like the story is awesome as well. It's amazing, but I just love that this character took such a change and you know, say it's like 30 years in the future, you know?
Yeah. There's also such a wonderful contrast between the storytelling devices and aesthetic and style of the framing device of Wiggins telling the story,
Right.
and the rigid, like 25 panel grid text outside of the panels that Polk's story, which Wiggins tells. So Wiggins is basically saying, for years, my friends have been telling me that I need to get these Grendel stories out. Who better than me? I was the guy.
Right.
I saw, what is it? The chill that was Grendel. I saw twice of it. But it's very funny that like he decides to tell a Hunter story when I'm sure if we looked at the timeline, I think this is like 2060 something.
Yeah,
like
he was
that.
probably a child when Hunter was.
Right. Yeah. Or well, if that, he and Brian probably only have 5 years between them because
True.
In A1, Wiggins is like 35 years old.
Right. He says it right too. And then so right. So he was probably born in like say 2000 or something like that.
Mhm.
Anyway.
So you could very easily like use this framing device again to go back and flesh out more Christine or anything really, or bridge the gap between this. I guess time really does pass between this and the incubation years, the Hannibal King stuff.
Right.
Maybe like maybe 100, 200 years, something like that. But there's a lot of stuff that could be done with something like this.
Oh,
Tom Vincent's back.
Killing it.
The tropical sunset is unbelievable. Bernie comes in and does some digital recoloring, and I think the same problems that Diana was explaining for all those because of Kamiko, what happened to the negatives, yada yada yada.
Right.
The Dark Horse edition is recolored, but also it's like Morade everything because 25 grid panels, everything's tiny and just it's all like it looks good enough. It does not look as good as the original.
Well, I didn't even get to look at the omnibus to see how it looked in there. Is black and white in there, or
I think it's from
black, white, and red.
I think it's from
the Dark Horse colors.
The Dark Horse. But the other thing is that like it's so bloody small. Like I feel bad for anyone who has to read this issue in that.
It's definitely not built for those smaller pages.
Yeah, it should be big as fuck, but like the negatives don't exist.
Right. So you couldn't blow it up or you couldn't break it up or something.
You can't make it. I mean, it's better that it's smaller. It's just harder to read. You know?
Yeah. So on the next page, the last page of Wiggins' story, like you see, he kind of drew out this cast of characters in the sand. Very cool, kind of just like setting it up. And man, I was tempted to like straight up write all these names down on a piece of paper and start writing all the clues that is like given and like the way that each of these characters like plays into the story. Now, I didn't necessarily do that, but like,
I did not feel that you needed to do that, but I do love this dramatis personae device.
Yeah.
I used it once in my 24-hour comic, and it was the last page that I did, but it was the first page of the comic. And so I knew, as that you go through that process, you sort of discover the characters. And so I was able to kind of like name them and put a little thing. The first time I saw this device used was in Batman Faces, and I loved it.
Another Matthew Wagner.
It's a wonderful literary comics device.
Where in the time frame did that come? When did that come out?
That's
early
like
90s?
1991, 1992.
Okay, so it's after this stuff still.
My note on this dramatis personae device is that this is probably like the most flamboyant example of like things that Matt does that can only be done in a comic.
Right.
Draw
like these detailed things.
Wiggins is also a master cartoonist with a great sense of design with a stick, and like I totally buy it here.
Absolutely.
But it's like the aquarium where you can't see the seams, but like you could never film that because you could always see the seams,
Yes. Is that your Image Grand Design bookmark?
This is my Image Grand Design sticker. One of many. one of many that I have here.
All right, so this story goes around this dude, Detective Polk, and we kind of see him in his day.
He was
straight up, first thing, kittens. Yeah, what up, girls?
Well, the transition between the two is that
it's really cool.
You get these 3 panels on the Wiggins page, and then you launch into the 25 panel.
Right, and the first panel here of Polk, it kind of like, this is like an ongoing motif, this face, this malaise, this bemusement that's kind of on his face, that's kind of used throughout.
For real.
And so we're just setting up as we start the first of many of these 25 panel grids, which is like kept almost rigid, and when it's not, it's used so well that it's like so jarring, and man, it really hits all those points home, and a couple that just really destroy it.
We were saying that like this is maybe the most Matt Wagner-esque comic imaginable, and there's really only a handful of other creators who you can even imagine having the chops to creative problem solve a book like this. Like Frank Miller, Alan Moore, Dave Sim, Harvey Kurtzman, Los Bros,
right,
and Daniel Klaus, and Chris Ware are like the only people who would ever even try to make something like this.
Right, this many panels, this much inner workings, the goings on, the intricacies of this diamond business and all the ins and outs of that. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
we can't even, we're not even going to try to like fully narrate and give you the full story. Like, these have to be read to be
it's
believed.
Too dense.
Far
it would
too
just
dense.
be boring. We'd just be
but like while I was reading it, man, I was like so into it. You really, I mean, it's really like the best of the pulp detective novels, or like
but it's also very down to earth. There's all these really simple
noir
domestic details that are that are straight. It's not like the shadow showing up in a cloud of smoke.
Right.
It's like,
it's just the dude.
Hunter is in this story.
Yeah.
The original colors are super minimal, and like the flesh tones are just like left white, shaded in ultra fine screen tone.
Well, and the Wiggins is like super warm, and then all the city stuff and the story is all cool, mostly cool, except for his jacket is like,
well, there's a lot of there's a very little flat color going on. It reminds me of what David Mazzucchelli would do in City of Glass, or in Astor's Polyp, where it's like you look at this and it's like it's a guy going through his day, and he happens to be like sucked into this internal affairs, like self-directed investigation.
Yeah.
So
love it.
He's
all got right. So he gets to work, man. It's his day getting to work. He's talking with his partner, Pynchon. Is that a nod to Thomas Pynchon, who is also
funny? There's a few names here that seem like they could be Matt Wagner nods to other people. Esther is a really good one. Esther's one of our great Jewish heroes. And the theme here is that everyone is talking about like, you have any spare cash to float around, or I just put some money into this bar. It's all about like investing in these, like,
if not tacos, what? Pizza, bagels, family?
Like all these like, New York City restaurants. Like, don't put your money into New York City restaurants. Like,
right.
Not a short thing, my friends.
No.
And he's just, man, I'm broke. I don't leave me alone.
Yeah. My whole family's in Florida. Like, I'm just here. I gotta piss.
Yeah, it sounds almost like his wife took the kids and like they're separated right now. So his life fucking sucks.
Yeah, dude. He's just dark. He goes into the bathroom and he's doing his thing, and then, man, some people come in the door and they're already talking. He hears it. He's like, what's going on? And here's the first of the break of the 25 panel. We get this super cool like bathroom stall overhead.
This is one of those things where you don't need to worry about exactly what order to read things.
I know,
things are going on at the same time.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's totally clear what's happening. It's very funny how, like, we've got these close-ups that you mentioned, that repeated composition of his malaise, and then his ears perk up when, check the stalls. And he goes, something's up.
And he was on the floor of the bathroom in the police office, which is number one, gross. But then second, he jumps up. But then, why did they not check that one? You know, we don't know. We don't know. He just looked under.
We don't know. Yeah. And why are you? Yeah. Matt's use of screen tone here something. To shade everything is like, this is unlike anything.
I love it.
You know,
and he's really used, cool. Yeah. God. All right. And so he, you know, he hears something about, you know, something's going on the next 2 weeks, you know, and he comes back and sits down. He's like, do you even like tacos? Did you hear what fucking Dylan just said? Did you hear? Dylan.
Yeah. Who did you just see Captain Dylan talking to?
Right. You see Captain Dylan come out of the John? Who was in there with him? On the next page, he's like, and then his partner's kind of like, don't do this to yourself. Like, don't pry into this. And he's, you know, he's just chilling.
Get it off his mind. Yeah.
And then until Dylan wants to see him. So he goes in there. He gets, you know, a job from Dylan.
Yeah, he's been working a cockfight bookie ring.
Yeah.
And there's no movement on it. He gives him his new papers. And
I keep thinking, like, there's got to be stuff in black, white, red, white, and black where they mention cockfighting ring, where they mention something. Like, I always just think that, like, they're pulling back. Shit. Yeah.
Well, yeah. or there's it could be tied back. Now Polk says that he's got a lot of interrogation time, intramural time.
Yeah, I thought that was
something time.
Yeah.
That's independent study detective work time.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess. where he can just go fuck off and do whatever he needs to and run his own investigations as he sees fit.
Investigation time, something.
Yeah.
He's just like, that's it. All right. And then so he passes that guy who he
can smell him.
He's like, that's what I was thinking. He's like, I smell that exact same, not perfume, but
the cologne. Yeah. Cologne. When I saw that, I went back to the bathroom page. It goes, is he sniffing there? But I was a little unclear, but he
must recognize. Oh yeah, and this one where it says nothing heard, nothing seen, nothing received. In that panel, you see he's got his nose up, and then there's like 2 little slashes that maybe are like, I smell something.
Oh,
got it.
There you go. Maybe
he smells it again. He's like, you know, Dylan takes bribes. He's like, you see one? I heard it, and I'm trying to forget it. Next page, he's like trying, and then, you know, he just continues on his day, and he bumps into that guy again, and so then he's like, oh snap. I'm going to follow. I'm going to tail him. I got this time.
He watches him go out, and then he goes and gets his car real quick.
Yeah.
And he tails him to his apartment.
Next few pages, I mean, it's just the tail.
He goes to the ever-famous Grand Central lockers.
That's right. Where
the third time that's gone down.
Right? Where Christine gets the mask and the thing where the journals are held.
Everything happens there. I got to tell you, I used to go to Grand Central every day when I was a clerk. I do not know where these lockers are. Could not tell you either. But there's a lot of good New York City locations here, and this one where he's up on the stairs looking down is a very good, you know, symbolic and minimal perspective drawing of Grand Central. Very, very well done, Matt.
Nice. All right, yeah. So he's just continuing following him around. Then the next page, you know, he's like listing off these dates. Stayed home. Then the next day, 3:15, I stayed home. Continues to follow him, and then we got our next break of this 25 panel grid.
It's so cool.
Oh my God. And what's even cooler is like kind of when the drawing is like in the panel, it's more detailed, and then when it's out, it's like a little bit more scribbly.
There's no screen tone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like that's it's behind. Oh man.
Also, there's a date. It seems as if 6 months have passed, I believe,
since he first heard the thing.
In panel 1, it's in March, and by the 4th tier, I think that it's indicating it's September 12th.
Okay, so 3 months have passed just on this page here.
6 months have passed.
6 months. Okay, yeah. And I mean these are you know, dense panels. Also, each group of words is not just set on one panel either. It's like goes to 2.
That's a great device, and sometimes it's a single background that's been broken up. We're introduced here to Weisberg and Green,
right?
Who are two Diamond District mogul types.
Exactly.
Weisberg's the top dog. Green is
like operates another business, kind of like a smaller family or whatever. And this is the crux of this entire operation. Everything's going on. Something weird is happening here. Weisberg starts changing things up. Who on the Weisberg end? Who on the green end? Why on the green end? Suddenly, this guy only he would always do the same thing, always do the same thing to the Weisberg.
Delivering a package to either
money, diamonds, we don't know
these guys,
local, or getting, he was delivering packages, not like getting a payoff, getting like a cop. Oh no, because this guy's not a cop, or he is.
Richards, I believe, is a cop from another department.
Okay, right. That's why he keeps bumping into him.
Yeah,
and he's getting like the payoff.
Yeah, because the guy with the beard, Dylan, is his direct supervisor.
Right.
And the other guy might be another crooked cop from elsewhere. And then at the end, he makes a drop off of the Coast Guard, possibly at the docks. Possibly.
Right. Oh, the docks, where all the bad shit happens. Oh, definitely the docks, dude.
But then he's like, so it becomes like there's like federal level corruption going on.
Exactly. Right. We turn the next page and he's like, dude, let's go to the diner. He's got his friend Pinchon, or his partner Pinchon, or desk neighbor. Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, like, I've been investigating. The more is happening. He's like, oh my God.
Oh no. He goes, oh, you
right. Yeah. He's like, now I'm part of it. Now I know something.
Did you see Succession on HBO?
Yes. Yeah.
This is like when Tom takes over the cruise line division.
Right.
Because, all right, now that you're in charge and I'm leaving, I have to tell you about tens of millions of dollars of cover-ups. And now that you're now
and he's like
corporately liable.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Perfect, man.
So
all right. So
he lays down the info.
Yeah. He's filling his
a slightly more digestible format for the reader than we just took in over the last page.
Exactly. And so, he tells him everything, names, pictures. And he's like, well, like, I'm going to continue on the next page. He's like, I'm going to start a serious dig, and I'll fill you in every couple of days when they give me more inter time.
Yeah. Whatever that is. And it says, well, we're not internal affairs. And like, that's a whole other,
we're not federal. We're just like,
and like being internal affairs, like it's just like a target on your back.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Wouldn't want it. All right, so then now he's starting to get tips. He's starting to get people to talk. So this first person, is named Talok, and he meets him at the strip club.
It is a weird French Canadian exotic name. That.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's just like no way unless you'll never know if you're pronouncing it correctly.
Right. Talok. Maybe the C. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so he starts talking to this dude. They're at the strip club, and he's telling him he's the driver. He's like Mr. Weisberg's driver. So he's telling him about like some of the patterns have changed, some of the things have changed, and usually at this time they make a ton of money and I work a bunch, but now I'm not. For some reason, I'm not working a ton and I'm not like bringing in the money. It's going to be a tight Christmas.
Yeah. So the rhythm is something ain't right.
Something ain't right. Yeah. On the next page. He's continuing down this list of people he's going to try to get to talk.
This is a great layout device.
Oh God, yes! This page is absolutely insane.
Yeah, really beautiful. Really cool. And then the color in his eyes, his like bloodshot, exhausted face,
with no holding lines too on the bottom. It just goes like right from the pink to like his screen, his skin tone. Man.
Yeah, I also like the panels that are like when I was reading this, I was like, why is panel 3 just black? What am I looking at? And then you pull back, you go, oh, there it is.
Yep. Why is panel 11 just like a corner of an ear? It's really well done.
There's one of his shoulder and his necktie. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. So who's this next? It's a clerk at one of Green's. It's a manager at one of his locations.
Exactly. Yeah, and he doesn't have a ton to say. Just that.
Sands.
Well, okay, no, he kind of tells them how the industry works. They make bids on lots.
There's an annual diamonds. Banquet,
right?
Where they bid. There's a blind auction where they set the market prices, and so you want to be competitively low, but I don't know what the hell.
It's a little intricate. You want to be.
It's a little intricate for
something.
Matt, how old is Matt? Like 5 when he's writing this.
Right.
So that's
20 years of reading pulp novels and detective stories. So
so this is all, when Matt or Dave Sim would talk about bureaucracy or corporate politics or all this like stuff, I've always been impressed by that, because it's just like, first of all, you have to find the interest to want to research it, to write it well, and then you have to execute, which is a whole nother thing. It's like when Charles Soule, is a middle-aged lawyer who breaks into comics. He writes Daredevil. Of course he can write Daredevil.
Right.
He can write.
Yeah.
He has 30
he
years
knows
of
all the intricacies. Yeah, and he can write like good legal drama.
Yeah.
Right. So we get the layout kind of like the system, so that when we learn how they twist it, it makes sense, So like we're getting we're getting set up for the way the diamond market works.
Yeah.
All right. So the next
informant is this
right. It seems like
flirty but closed off. She doesn't want to give me any info.
Right. Like a secretary, or she works the phones at Weisselberg.
I think she's one of Weisberg. I think she's another manager.
Okay.
I think that she's
I'm sexist because I said that she was
next to a typewriter, so I understand.
Okay, see, I was trying to use context clues.
She only gets 10 panels before she tells them to fuck off.
Right. That's usually a whole page, but it's only about a third.
And then it ends with him going to Eisenstein.
Oh, that's the other person that he's going to another diamond.
It's another place, and this guy, this nerd.
All right. Well, as we go down the page, he's going in and out of these other places. He's starting to hit some dead ends. Dead end. Dead end. Dead end. Dead end. Dead end. Dead end. Dead end.
This guy's pumped to talk to him.
Well, and this is the kind of he gets in there right at the right time. We got this Sean from Mage type of dude, and then on the next page, so he's like,
that's Fred. Like, his name is Fred.
His name's Fred.
He's a hacker. He's very curious.
Oh yeah.
He's been keeping vouchers. He's practically cracking the case for you.
Exactly. He's like, we can't talk now. Meet me at this bar at 81st, and we'll talk then. All right. So he makes his way there.
Teachers too, which is is there a pun there? I'm not seeing teachers too.
I don't know.
Teachers need to drink too.
Yeah, teachers too. So that's where that's like the teacher's bar or something.
A teacher bar.
Maybe it's built in an old school or something like that. We used to go to one downtown called Public School. Guess what that was built in?
A public school. There you go.
It's not true what they say about you.
I'm not dumb like they say. I can read this book.
So now he's like
so
getting some
about
things.
The banquet and how the scheme of in order to create a monopoly, Weisberg's gonna he's gonna bid super, super low and then use his war chest to stave off the winter while everybody withers away. And then once the competition's gone, he'll just raise the prices as he wishes.
Right. And then he'll have everything. And he's also saying like, oh, he's definitely smuggling. He's definitely getting a ton of jewels. So like he'll be able to, like you said, war chest or something. He'll have that. Boom. So he lays out this plot, and our boy buys into it, lock, stock, and barrel.
Why is Fred so eager to give this info? I just think Fred, he's just got like a nose for the dirt,
Yeah.
He's like Larry. He's like Bizarro Larry.
Well, yeah, too. Maybe he's like a clerk and he doesn't like, he hates his boss. He's getting pushed around. He's just not like, he's had it. And he's like, yeah, man. Okay. So I know the secrets, and I'm happy to tell the cop here. I'll just,
This next scene is him and Polk and Pinchon at Rockefeller Plaza, Rockefeller Center.
Yep, the skating rink.
30
looking over. Looking over. Yeah. And so he's kind of filling them in. He's filling them in on this whole thing. He's going to bid rock bottom to get the killer prices to attract the most customers. But then with his stash, he'll be able to weather what will be an incredibly bad month for everyone else, who will have all guaranteed underbid themselves. So this is where all the
you get it super dense,
right?
And then you get it like a little bit clearer it's clear. He has to process the info,
right?
It's it's a challenge, and I can see why you have to be good at comics and reading and invested in this to read this.
Right.
Like you can't go from Spider-Man to this and be like, man, I'm never reading Spider-Man again.
No. For me, I know this is also a tangent. It's those comics just occupy different worlds, like right.
Absolutely.
Like I'll like be drunk in bed and I'll read a Spider-Man for fun as something fun to do. Not because I'm like, I need to,
Well, also like he lives in your head.
Right.
Like you can put on Peter's skin and know
exactly
how he's going to react.
Right. Exactly.
This is a different beast.
So much different. And then he's like, you getting all this? He's like, all right. So now Pinchon is like also bought in. He's got everything in his head. He's thinking next page. He's coming in. And so now he's really trying to zero in on Weisberg.
He goes to his office.
Right. He goes right to his office. Damn, I keep forgetting the name, man. I don't know.
It was the first woman who really broke my heart. That was her name.
Oh, was it?
We're friends now, but
it's easy for you to remember. Weisberg, you say?
We had grown, we had grown up together, and then we dated when we were seniors, and it was just like this person who had been in my life my entire life was named. That was her name. And shout outs.
Okay, all right. All right, so we go to Weisberg's office, and he's talking to his reception.
Look at that. Yeah. Look at that low angle 3-point perspective reflection of the building across the street. I've never seen that. That's
amazing. Perspection. All right. So he's like, listen, I want to talk to him. I'm a police officer. And she's like, I assure you, no. What was that David Spade character where he played the receptionist? And he's like, oh, okay. Just sit down. Man, what was his catchphrase? I can't even remember. Yeah, okay, hold on. Shit, I can't even remember that. But yeah, Spade had a great reoccurring character where he was basically like, her. Right. And so,
we
he's
get
just
a lot of those malaise close-ups here as she just stonewalls him.
And he's just like, okay, fine. But then it seems as though the other guy who's in the office, as Hirsch. She hears him leave, Hirsch is like, oh, you know what? I've got to step out for lunch. He goes in, he catches the elevator, and he's like, you Polk? You Hirsch? And then they set up this meeting with this.
Hirsch is Weisberg's personal secretary.
Right. Yeah.
And Weisberg's been
number 2, maybe. Or
she
was the receptionist, and he
runs the business while Weisberg is laid up infirmed in his Hamptons mansion for the last several months.
Right. So he's like, meet me at this movie theater downtown. He's like, I don't have a car. He's like, so cab it. Malaise look. He gets there. He's like,
yeah, and
you're late.
And
he's like,
they're in Midtown. He goes,
right.
Go 40 blocks south in 15
minutes. Because he gets in like a probably.
It's very funny because it's very like Patrick Nagel. He's like pastel, sea foams, and all that stuff. All the white skin. It really does have a different kind of 80s flair. It's similar to what the Panders do. It's similar in some things, like the inking and cartooning is similar to Devil by the Deed, but it's completely unique.
Absolutely.
Anyway, they go to a dirty movie theater where they give each other HJs.
They start talking about it, and then this is where he first drops that, like, I actually don't think that Weisberg is like really pulling the strings. I think it's Grendel.
Yeah.
And then we get our first and only appearance of Hunter in this issue.
Yeah, it's a wonderful break of the grid. Nothing is bled off the page since the framing device 2 pages ago at the very beginning.
Right.
Here's Hunter. And then also, I don't know how important this was to you, but to get a sense that Hunter was already established at this point and already feared,
right,
that he's not 17 in the South. He's 20, let's call him 21 and a half years,
yeah.
An old man.
Maybe at the height of his
powers, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out because there's going to be Argent stuff next issue.
Oh.
Which will be tremendous.
Another thing, it's interesting, because all of our Hunter stuff, really, other than the black, white, and red stuff, we kind of got some of these types of stories where we're seeing it from the ground level and not we're not traveling with Hunter in this story. He's whispered, and this is almost like how you would see, like, if they really made a movie about, and sometimes they do this with Batman, or McFarlane was saying he was going to do it with Spawn, where the main character is not
coming out.
Right. Well, the Spawn movie apparently.
Sure.
That Spawn's not the main character. We're not following the hero, the titular hero.
Right. It's like a Sammy Switch kind of
right,
thing.
and they kind of come in the backgrounds and they fly through the things, So
that's interesting. And also, this is like Devil's Vagary on crack.
Yeah.
On steroids.
Yeah. All right. So then they're continuing talking in here, just saying that, like, everything. Sorry, I forget what's going on.
What's happening is he's explaining that Weisberg is attempting to manipulate all these moving pieces, and especially the banquet and the blind auction on the prices, to double cross Hunter, so that he doesn't have to pay as much a penny. He doesn't have to pay as much of his protection money isn't as high.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, basically. So he's running like a double con here.
Yeah, and so there's like red herrings, like Green's involvement is like a red herring, and the smuggling is like, it's supposed to look like there's smuggling going on, but there's no smuggling going on. Right. So in the end, whatever he owes Hunter, as if Hunter wouldn't find out, will be much less.
Right. Because Weisberg has no idea at the level that Hunter operates. He thinks he can have all these machinations and that it will go over the head of Grendel. Literally.
Well, they think he's a clown. They just think he's a tough guy clown.
Harlequin.
They don't know. Yeah. A disruptor, if you will. Right. So Polk decides, fuck it, I'll just drive out to the Hamptons and go to the.
Well, he gets the address from this guy, and he's like, oh shit. All right, so then
he lives in the Hamptons, 57 Riverside. That's probably not going to be that helpful.
Oh, Riverside, yeah. Well,
maybe it is. I don't know.
In the Hamptons, not that big of a place.
Well, it's but okay. It's big enough.
So he heads out. He heads his way down there, and
is it East Egg or West Egg?
Yeah, you're right.
Great. All right, sorry.
So he Weisberg's ballsy, all right. So he goes up to the house. He walks into this giant building, and he is greeted.
Badge. He gets through the gate.
He gets through. Yeah. And he's like, I need to speak to him. And she's like, I'm sorry, but he's not taking anyone. And he's like, listen, this is very important. She shuts the door in his face. Next page, he's banging. He's like, dude, no, look, I'm a police officer. Show him this. It's like one of the slips,
vouchers.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The voucher. And she's like, all right, I'll take it.
I thought he'd just say Grendel, a piece of paper that says
Grendel. Yeah, exactly. Folded out. Says, I know what's happening. And so then she shuts the door, and his daughter comes out and says, Lieutenant Polk, how are you? Come on in.
This is Esther. Mm-hmm. Esther is one of our great Jewish female heroes.
Right. Yes.
In case anyone doesn't know, she was
big in the Purim story.
A great lady.
All right. So he's greeted by the daughter there, and she's pleased to meet him. She brings him in.
Yeah. Look at that grid break in the
staircase,
the stairwell. So cool.
Well, it's also too, like, panel 10 is kind of like the top of this panel, whereas panel 15 is like the floor level. Yeah. Panel 10, that's so cool.
The camera tilts down.
Beautiful.
Really cool. And now we meet Horatio, his son,
right?
Who
really just wants to talk about movies. He's gonna take over the diamond business, but he's like, no. Have you seen?
Yeah.
Well, he's hoping to get into
he says, yeah, I went to a movie today. Oh, a morning screener. That's hardcore.
Yeah. He knows. On the next page, he's like, I'm just, oh yeah, I went to one this morning. That's on there. And he's like, no, I just saw a vampire.
Yeah. The diamond business is easy. It will take care of my future. It's not a problem. I just want to.
It's not what I love.
Yeah, I want to finance film.
I'm gonna make it.
Is vampire? Is vampire? I
don't know it.
Nosferatu? Fritz Lang?
I don't know.
Who knows? Not me.
Okay, I just really quickly looked it up. It's a 1932 horror film directed by Danish director Carl Theodor Dreyer. And the film was written by Dreyer and Christian Jewell based on elements from a book. It looks like it's a silent film based on elements from J. Sheridan Le Fanu's 1972 collection of supernatural stories.
Horatio talks about a scene where someone dreams about their own death.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure will be relevant, in some creepy way.
Interesting. And then he's like, listen, what about, you ever see Monsieur Voodoo? I haven't seen that either. It's a classic later Chaplin. Yeah.
And I think that there's like a little bit of a touch of like autism spectrum disorder, where it's like, I'm going to force you into talking about whatever you into listening to us talk about whatever it is I want to talk about.
Oh, you mean like Fish fans, kind of?
Anything. It could be Eli. It could be about anything.
It could really be anything you're really passionate about. That's all you want to talk about.
Like comics. Yeah.
All right. So she's like, all right. He said he'll see you for a minute, but just like don't get him all frazzled. Like we'll give you a minute. And if he
Horatio says, "Is he okay? I haven't seen him a week. Is his do I need to change the humidifier?" Keep that in mind. All right.
Clues everywhere. So he goes in there and he's like, she's like, this is Lieutenant Polk. And he's like, so she kind of just says like, he says he's been divorced for over 5 years.
He likes it that way.
Yep. So how are things?
This close up is very Frank Cho, Liberty Meadows, or
which one?
Maybe the one of the close up, the guy in bed. Ooh,
okay,
raise his take. Or maybe a little Terry Moore even.
Ooh, yeah. Terry Moore or less. All right. So I'm sure Officer Polk would appreciate the privacy. Yes. So she leaves. He's been divorced for 5 years. And how are things for Weisberg and company? So he's asking, I know your fiscal year is starting to end. So he's kind of using some of these clues to try to get some info out. And now this is where he says, I'm told business has never been healthier. Of course, I hadn't exactly had a tight control. So, okay. So here's a new wrinkle. Everyone thinks that he's at the top and he's, doing all the stuff, all the machinations.
That's what he says.
Yeah. Well,
he's playing as a doddering, affable putz.
Right.
I think.
Well, so then next page. Asleep. Right. So he's kind of just like in and out. And then he turns out and he's, of course, Finch and Cole, my lawyers, have been taking care of most everything.
Yeah.
And then he kind of nods out. And then she comes in and she's like, okay, takes his glasses, sees Polk on his way out.
Yeah, they didn't really. I mean, it was useful, but not in the way that he wanted it to be. And Polk's comment was, he's not sick. The humidifier has not been running.
Right.
I did not have to take my jacket off when I was in
right.
there.
Exactly. So something's going on. Something's, this and something's that.
Right.
He puts up a good front as an invalid.
Yeah. A daytime visit to Finch and Cole.
All right. So then he gets in there with the with the lawyers.
12th, the anniversary of my bar mitzvah.
Hey, there you go.
If it's 1987, it's exactly 10 years before that fateful day when I became a man.
Oh,
great.
All right. So then he's just, and the lawyer is like, no comment. I won't be talking to you. Next page, he kind of just sits back and he's like, look, can't you even just tell me like if there have been any changes like to the setup in the last couple? And he's just like, no, I can't say anything. And he's out. So now it's night. He comes back. He says, I'm with the police. Like, you guys have been having some problems. Like, I thought would you want to check? Could you please check out, this? I've been alerted that there could be some issues.
Yeah. Alarms have been going off.
Right.
So we need to just make
and we've been alerting the security system.
Everything's okay. Yeah.
Right. So he flips a switch. He goes to Finch's office and he starts snooping around.
Yeah. What's he doing? I see the credit card. What's he doing with the reach up top? I don't know enough about B&E, so.
Maybe easing the door open or something. Maybe it sticks up there or something like that. Maybe he's
not putting prints on it. No, he's already old. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not putting. I don't know. You're right.
This is super cool. The screen tone over everything, and then the yellow beam of the flashlight.
Yeah, that's nice.
Really, really cool. This is a place where Bernie's later passed with all the moire pattern. It's super hard to read.
Ooh, interesting.
It is just like, if you compare the two, it's just like, this is so masterfully, minimally executed. And then like the production snares 10 years later, it turns to shit.
It really does.
Shit, I say. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
Right.
But it really does highlight the difference between between the two.
Well, and how really hard it is to recreate or republish this Zipatone duo shade patterns.
Yeah, I bet that if you're doing it, I mean, if you're doing it today at 2400 DPI, maybe it would be easier.
Right, and like Diana said, this was at the start of
it's
digital printing and digital scanning.
Yeah, it's like there's no way it's gonna look good.
It's not that high a DPI for sure. All right, so then he's snooping around. Next page, Weisberg. He's looking around. Incorporation papers, merger correspondence, more of the same. His will and an addendum dated 4 months ago.
That's when Hunter got his hooks into him.
Right. Well, that's when he divorced his wife, took her down to 5%, and the other 90%.
I think it was 5 years ago. Was the divorce?
Well, he cuts her adjusted. The ex is getting
she's got
butchered.
She's cut in from the prenup.
Right. And then the other 90% goes to the twins, and even split. And he's like, Christ, that means it's one of them, the kids. But which one? Or is it both?
I had a tough time figuring. I'm sorry, I interrupted your dramatic Wiggins click, which ends the issue really well.
Yeah,
I had a tough time following the plot there. I mean, I trust you, Polk, but
they're pulling all these strings. I guess
kids are getting all the money. I mean,
they're getting all the money. They're getting 90% share of the business. So then they're also trying to run the scheme to make all that more money, so that maybe when their dad dies, there's going to be more money for them to get, or something like that.
It wouldn't be out of the ordinary for the children to receive the lion's share of the estate.
I don't think so either,
so I was just a little confused.
Yeah.
The transition, like you said, back from these blues and grays back into the Tom Vincent Tropical Sunset.
Yeah, beautiful. And he clicks it because, and he's mad. He's like, oh shit. He talks to his little robot panel there. He's like, you told me the ties were wrong and I was going to be fine. And I was getting into it, and his contraption got all wet. His voice recorder. He's like, shut up, Skinny, and takes a huge sip off his beverage.
I like how part of the straw is going into the fruit.
Well, I feel like it's got a tripod that keeps it stable on the cup, and then one that goes down in the middle that comes out, so that I really enjoy
this robot. It's very it's the tech in this issue. This robot is the first future tech that doesn't look like Russ Heath.
Right,
Russ Manning goofy,
Yeah.
And if you look at Bernie's treatment of it, it really, really comes to life, with the coloring effects that he puts on it. Really, really well done.
But they cut out. Oh no, they don't.
It just has a ton more dimension. You can see the Pac-Man.
You mean in the Dark Horse?
Mouth. In the Dark Horse, yeah, with Bernie.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
There's just you can see a hard angle on where the thing opens up. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
To be continued.
To be continued. And then in the Kamiko, we get this interlude into Mage, all in French.
And, all in French. I mean, there's not much. It's just people. It's Kaneda Tetsuo.
Right. There's
Etienne, the lover.
Yeah. And he's late as usual. I try to look up some of it, but then they start making love, and then he turns into I guess a Grackle Flynn or something, or he flips her, but then man, this sound effect here, this splash,
that's the reason, baby,
is insane. I mean, it looks it looks like CG. It looks like a digital effect.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's absolutely beautiful.
That's the frisket for you, baby.
Yeah.
Sweet. The thing with the airbrush is there's all kinds of factors: the angle, the distance, the pressure, the amount of air, the amount of paint. The trigger, when you push down, more paint gets let in. When you pull back, more air comes through. So there's a lot of, depending on how you finesse it, there's a lot of different stuff you can do. And then with the frisket, it's really nice. The coolest part, I think, is the shadow that the L casts on the P.
Yeah. Yes.
Really
it
cool.
all, I mean, it all has so much like weight.
Yeah.
And then we come in and there's this horse that comes in, and
Yeah, I think it's a statue of the horse that comes to life. It ends a little abruptly.
very, yeah, but
that's
we'll
okay.
see more next week.
It really showed this whole issue does a lot to showcase Matt's range. It's probably, I mean, Mage with the Devil by the Deed backups did the same.
Right.
But the fact
so
that there's the framing device and the main story in here are in two completely different styles. And then the painted Mage comic is in a whole other thing that, Matt has trotted out that is the fully painted style, but a handful of times.
Yeah.
And it's always great.
Always great. Another great story. I can't wait to get to the bottom of this next week.
For sure.
All right, Ben. Anything last you want to say?
It was good. It was a dense issue.
Yeah.
Only you, sir, could have made this comic. I mean, there's a few other people, but mostly only you. So,
Tip the hat to you, Matt.
Very well done.
All right, man. Vivat Grendel, and keep on Grendelin. Until next week.